Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing super good. I'm filming something a bit different today. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm kind of nervous, and I'm also sat on a beanbag, so if you hear a bit of rustling, that's what it is. Thought I would film a super chill video today. I asked on my Instagram stories a little while ago for Q&A questions because I've realised I've started YouTube and I don't feel like I've given people much context as to who I am, what I do and what my life is like. Besides obviously the weekly vlogs, you kind of get a day-to-day insight on my life, but I guess people have a lot of questions, so thought I would do a little Q&A, just kind of going over some questions you guys have asked. Some of it's photography related, some of it is totally random. I just told you guys, ask away. I hope you guys enjoy. I'm also feeling in a kind of chatty mood today because I haven't really had a lot of human interaction, so I thought it was a good day to film this on. But I screenshotted all the questions a little while ago. Here's a good question to start off with. Someone said, what is your favourite type of photo shoot to do? One thing to know about me is that I am one of the most indecisive people you will ever meet in your whole life. I don't think I've ever made a decision 100% because I'm just not that way inclined. I feel like I see every side to a story so vividly. I do a lot of different styles of photo shoots, which is another question I get asked quite a lot, is what exactly is it that you do? I'm a product photographer. I've been a product photographer for 5 years. However, I now do modelled work, portfolios for models. I do a lot of clothing shoots, brand shoots, personal branding, locations, events. I kind of do a little bit of everything. I still call myself a photographer, but I guess kind of a summary is I do all kinds of content. I do video, like I said, product, events, modelled, anything that requires gorgeous aesthetic shots. I'm your girl. I have had some of the weirdest inquiries ever, and yet I still do them because they don't necessarily fall within my title of product photographer, but if I think it's a good experience and it's a good job, then I'm going to do it. What's my favourite type of shoot? I'm still going to say product photography, only because naturally I think the better you are at something, you enjoy it a lot as well. Both of those do kind of go together. Not to toot my own horn, but I do think I'm a pretty darn good product photographer, whereas with modelled photography, I find myself still getting a lot of imposter syndrome. I look back at some of my modelled work even from 6 months ago and I'm so unhappy with it. Whereas product photography, I feel like I'm really knuckling down on what it is that I enjoy shooting and what I'm good at shooting, and 99% of photo shoots I do nowadays I am so insanely proud of. I would still say product photography. I really enjoy creating product photos, styling them, editing them. I think the start to finish process of product photography is so satisfying for me, and I genuinely think it would make 13-year-old Grace scream with joy. Advice for someone wanting to book their first shoot. Now this is asked by a model. How does a model land their first photo shoot? And I'm no model, but I work with a lot of brands who hire models and source models. I obviously work with models directly through brands as well. So as much as I don't have final say in the selection process, I have picked up a few tips and tricks on how models can get landed paid jobs. I think from my side of it, I speak about this on my Instagram stories all the time, but if I have a client, for example, a hair accessory brand that sells scrunchies, and they say, Grace, we want you to shoot some modelled photos, can you send me some model options? 9 times out of 10, I will send them photos off of your Instagram, unless you are signed with an agency, and I will send them your agency book. But I think it's so important nowadays to have a really strong social presence, and I don't mean having tens and thousands of followers and being an influencer. I mean having a really concrete Instagram portfolio that shows different photo shoots you've done, the different looks you can pull off, the styles of photos you might do. So I would say for a model, you should have, you know, professional photos of you with no makeup on. If you want to do beauty shoots, your Instagram should have those style of photos on there. If you want to model clothes, you should be wearing clothes on your Instagram and modeling them. I don't just mean a photo that your besties took on a night out. You want professional imagery, and I think that's something that gets really confused nowadays, is people think that they can be a model based off of photos just taken on their phone. And yes, it might get you through the door, but it will not get you paid work, and I want to say that in the most politest way possible, because I appreciate getting into the modelling industry is not easy and it can be expensive. I do a lot of portfolio shoots with a lot of models. 9 times out of 10 it will get them either signed or a job, and I think you have to want to invest for someone to want to invest in you. I think that really is a two-way street. You're not going to be taken seriously in the modelling industry unless you have a professional photography, and that is just fact. And I think especially nowadays, modelling agencies are kind of a dying breed, and I don't mean that as any disrespect to any modelling agencies out there. I think some modelling agencies are really strong, and they obviously do a lot in events, high fashion, high-end fashion, runway, magazine, stuff like that. But I think your day-to-day model who might model for econ brands, fashion brands, beauty brands, accessory brands, jewellery brands, I think agency isn't required. to source those types of models. Nowadays, a lot of influencers are landing model jobs because brands have figured out that they are cheaper to hire than they are to hire through agency. Strong Instagram, professional photos, and also pitch yourself. You are allowed to pitch yourself to brands. You can, message a brand, hi, really love your products. I've just seen you've done a photo shoot of your recent spring collection. I would love to be involved on your next photo shoot. You don't need to hound people for photo shoots, but I would genuinely show an interest in brands that you would want to model for. And don't go after PLT, don't DM PLT. They have a billion different followers. Go after local small brands that you actually think you have a chance of modelling with. Show interest, just be genuine, and you never know, they might get back to you and say, oh my god, amazing, we're actually shooting this next week, would you like to get involved? And yes, it might start off unpaid, but 99% of the time it does then turn into paid work, or at least then you're going to get some gorgeous imagery from the shoot to then use towards a paid job in future. So everything kind of comes back around. Someone said, do you think you need a social media manager or someone to help with your content and brand? And this is something I've been going back and forth with myself for maybe like 6 months now. It's really hard running a business and wearing all the different hats that a business requires. Yes, I'm a full-time photographer, but I probably spend about 20% of my time taking photos, if not 10%. Other times I'm spent doing admin, emails, invoicing, inquiry calls, briefing calls, editing, going to the post office, unpackaging product, styling product, prop sourcing, never mind, everything on top of that, promoting yourself on social media. I obviously do YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest. Like, there is so much you could be doing, and I think as a business owner you never feel like you're doing enough, and that has become a feeling that I've become really comfortable with, is you haven't got to be doing everything at 110%. It's just not feasible, it's not maintainable. You should not be putting that level of pressure on yourself. But I do think having a social media manager would help. It just depends on obviously what they can do for you. I think my kind of take on it and why I haven't hired someone for social media management just yet is because I actually don't know what I'd want them to do, and I don't think it's fair to hire someone without knowing what their job role would entail. Yes, I would love someone to come in and take over Salis Studio Instagram and help me a lot more with the marketing. I would love to grow that account to, 10k plus followers. And that's really hard. But how do I teach someone how to grow a photographer's profile on Instagram? I think it's really difficult. Most businesses probably feel that way because no one knows the business as well as the owner. Yeah, I think it's really hard. I think when you're ready to hire for content and brands. When I've spoken to a lot of business owners, outsourcing photography is a huge help for them because some people find it really stressful. They don't like the organising element of it. They don't know models. They don't know photographers. They don't feel like their imagery is high quality enough because they might take it all on their phone. So I know hiring a photographer helps a lot of brands. Therefore, obviously you'd think hiring a social media manager would help them too. But I do think you can do it on your own if you want to and you want to dedicate that time to it. It just depends on how you want to spend your time, where you feel like your strong points are. Next question, how to consistently book clients as a beginner, pitch and advice. It's a really funny question because I don't feel like I'm a pro at landing clients, and I say that because 99% of my inquiries now are inbound, i.e. I don't do anything. People find me. And yes, it is about, pitching yourself appropriately when you receive that inquiry. Just because they message you and say they want to do a photo shoot with you, it doesn't mean they're going to book you at the end of the day. Maybe 50% of inquiries I get, they don't materialise into an actual product shoot, and that is completely fine. I think getting that first message is really hard, and I would say just to have a really strong social presence, and I don't mean posting every single day on Instagram, because if you look at Salis Studio Instagram, I've not posted in there for a hot minute. Saying that, my Instagram profile is searchable enough that if someone was to type in, UK product photographer, photography for brands, whatever, I come up on their search page and I rank with them. Therefore, they will see my profile. And I think the thing that lands me messages and inquiries to begin with is the imagery I post on Instagram, to put it bluntly. The amount of feedback I get from potential clients who say, Grace, I saw your feed, it is exactly what we want. You want to have that impression on brands. You want them to look at your profile and go, I can totally see myself working with this photographer. So you need to have a really strong portfolio on Instagram or on website, just whichever you feel attracts the most clients. Personally, most of my inbounds still come through Instagram, but I then refer them to my website where there is more information, there is more portfolio evidence, there's reviews, there's testimonials, there's a contact page. You just should have a really banging portfolio, and that will get you the inquiry. From there, you need to have a really good pitch, and it's not about, I can do all of this for you and look at everything I give you. How can you help them specifically? It's not about being the cheapest, it's not about being the quickest. You want to really personalize each inquiry to, this is how I can assist you. How can I actually help you? Some brands have a really concrete brief and they just need to give it to a photographer who has the equipment and the skills and the props to execute it with. Other brands have no idea what they want. They want creative direction. They want someone who can come in and kind of materialize their ideas. So you really want to personalize each inquiry into a message that says, I know exactly what I'm talking about, and I can help you with whatever it is you need. You know, some clients just want a price off me and I can send them a price, this, and this. 99% of the time, they will not materialise because they're just going to shop around for the cheapest price. But I think genuine inquiries, if you can show that you can help them in the best way, they're going to consider you. How do you put together your pricing / packages? Now, I have been through the ringer when it comes to pricing, and I don't even think I'm at the end of that yet. I still struggle with pricing so much. When I first started out with photography, I used to do packages, so it'd be like 10 images for this much, 20 images for this much, a stop motion for this much. And yes, that is really good to start out with. I was severely underselling myself. Definitely, you know, a lot of photographers do advertise their pricing online. I personally choose not to, but you can definitely do your research on other product photographers, find out what they're charging. If you feel as though you're of similar skill set to them, then that is kind of your ballpark figure on where you should be charging. There's some really good pricing calculators out there. If I find one, I will link them in the description for you. Personally, for me now, the best way I price myself is on a per image basis, but it still has a custom element to it because I will not say to a client how much the price is per image until I know what image it is that they're after. If they're after something really highly styled that's going to require a lot of props and a lot of time, that is obviously more expensive per photo than it would be for plain white background, no styling. So I think at the minute I kind of do a balance. I have a ballpark figure on how much it is per image, but I also don't sell myself short when I feel like there's more time involved, there's more pre-production involved. Everything can kind of have a fee to it that is added all together that makes the custom quote. You've just got to find what works for you. And I also think what's really important to know is that you can change your pricing. I think once people have like this concrete, you know, 10 images for this much, they're then really scared to go back and admit that that maybe wasn't the best way for them to price their packages. My advice would be, don't be afraid to alter the way you price work. Even if you want to change it 10 times in 1 year, no one's going to know unless they actually inquire with you 10 times. How do I do proposals? So when I get an inquiry for a photo shoot and they say, you know, we need this and this is our budget, this is our timeline, X, Y, and Z. My proposal is basically a 2-page document that I made on Canva, and it outlines everything that the photo shoot would include. It outlines, you know, access to props, a fully fledged studio, a photographer, a professional photographer, lighting equipment, camera equipment. It just outlines everything that this photo shoot would involve, you know, everything from pre-production to editing to revisions to additional crops, behind the scenes footage, whatever it is, I outline it all. And I just say, you know, this is everything that a photo shoot would include. From there, I basically offer 3 packages, small, medium, large, if that's how you want to consider it. The medium package will always kind of fall as most into what they're asking for. So if they want 10 images, my medium package will be that 10 images and a quote on how much that would cost. But then my smaller package might be, here's how much 8 images is going to cost. And my larger package might be, here's how much 15 images are going to cost. Because sometimes it's nice to give your clients all options, especially when they're not too sure on if they want to add anything on, if they have factored in how much it's going to cost, things like that. So it's really insightful to give them 3 different tiers to which they can pick from. Sometimes in the larger package, I might say, okay, you can have all the images you've asked for, i.e. 10, for example, but would you also want a video? Would you also want behind the scenes footage? Would you want a model shoot to go alongside it? It's your opportunity to not only give them a proposal on what it is they want from you, but also what you think might work well for them. And it's a really good way on upselling with product photography as well. The amount of shoots that I've booked based off of a proposal where I've pitched a bigger budget, a bigger package. A lot of clients tend to go for it in the end because they just think, great, the more the merrier. That fits within my budget, we can make that work. I actually think Grace has a really good idea from that video proposal. That is kind of what I would recommend. What else do I include in a proposal? Timeline is really important. You know, how soon can you get them booked in? How long is it going to take? I also include in my proposal previous brands I've worked with. It kind of just gives a bit of authority. Licensing is really important. All of my product photography fees include licensing for website, social media and ads. But if a client wants licensing for print, for billboards, I don't know, print media, something like that, that is all kind of outlined in the proposal as well. And I think that's everything. I have a lot of example photos in my proposal to all kind of Salis Studio colour branded. Just kind of fun and cute and quirky. I just have a set template, and then every time I get an inquiry, I will tailor the proposal to the client and send it to them. But they all kind of look the same, because I think it's really important to have kind of consistent branding across all of your documents. So my proposal looks like my invoices, it looks like my contracts. So it all kind of falls under the nice Salis Studio branch, if you like. How did you come up with your pricing? Every helpful template seems to be Australian or US. There is a really good UK one, I'll link it below. I'm so sorry, I can't think of the woman that developed it. Pricing's such a pain point. There is no right or wrong way to do it. Like I said, the way I came up with mine is through learning and experimenting. Just because you're starting out with product photography doesn't mean your pricing has to stay the same forever. I really wouldn't deep it. I think it's really easy to get caught up in, I don't know, the pricing battle, if you will. How do you find the confidence to approach or send work out? I think it comes with time, I really do. I think when I first started out with product photography, I was messaging so many people. I probably sent about 200 DMs in the space of a week, begging people to let me take their product photos. And yeah, rejection's redirection. You get really comfortable with rejection when you're a freelancer and a business owner. Kind of just is the way it is. You've just got to trust yourself. You've got to trust your quality of work. I think it goes so far. I think I can tell on Instagram when a photographer is not proud of their work or not confident in themselves. I think it really shows. You shouldn't be posting work that you're not proud of. You shouldn't be pitching yourself if you're not proud of the work you're creating. You can't deep it too much. I was DMing people on Instagram and also sending pitch emails literally not that long ago, maybe a year and a half ago. I was having a really quiet month, and I thought, screw it, I want to get into drinks and food photography. And I emailed a bunch of brands, I DM'd a bunch of brands, sent them my website, please check out my website, I'd love to do this for you, this is my idea for your photo shoot. I got a lot of responses, and it got me Perfect Ted, who I've done amazing brand work for now. They turned into a paying client. It just gets your name out there, it gets word of mouth going. I think something that's really underestimated in product photography is how important word of mouth is. Yes, that brand might not want to, work with you. They may not think that you're a good fit for them, but at least you're in the forefront of their mind in case someone says to them, do you know a product photographer? And they'll think, oh my god, that girl messaged me on Instagram. Who inspires you the most? I think I had this conversation with Ella, funnily enough. The answer I always say is my dad, which I feel like is kind of cringe, and my dad is never going to watch this, thankfully. I would definitely say my dad, and I will put my mum into that bracket as well. My mum and dad have ran a milk delivery business since I was a child. I just really admire what they have done and built together. My dad has ran this business since he was like 18. Insane. And it wasn't my dad's dream job, and it wasn't what my dad necessarily wanted to do, but he has turned lemons into lemonade. He has built something which is so incredible, and people respect him so much, and he is so highly thought of in the industry. That is what I find inspiring. And with that as well is my parents didn't come from privilege whatsoever. My parents came from very working class backgrounds, and I think they've really made the most out of the cards that they were dealt, if not more. They work so hard, and they have sacrificed so much, and I genuinely don't know two other people that are as committed to working and making a living as much as them. What's your favourite and least favourite thing about what you do? Favourite is probably client reactions, in the sense of I love being able to give my clients and my brands and my models such a sense of confidence by giving them imagery of products they've developed, of the model themselves, who's getting into the industry. I love just that feeling of someone messaging me and being like, Grace, this is incredible, thank you so much for what you've done for me, this is amazing. And it's genuinely a feeling that you can't trade for anything. Every time I get an email that is like, oh my god, Grace, I gagged when I saw those photos, oh my god, Grace, you have transformed my business, you've increased my sales, you've helped me so much. Those messages genuinely makes everything worthwhile. It makes me feel like I'm having a big difference on people. And yes, I do only take photos for a living, but to know that I'm transforming businesses and people's confidence, I find it so heartwarming. Like, genuinely just gives me all the feels. Least favourite thing about what I do, I think it's really hard running a business. There's enough people out there speaking about it. I think for me, I'm 22 years old. I never expected to own my own business at this age. It's really isolating. A lot of my friends, a lot of people who aren't in the industry that I went to school with, let's say, who are my age, they are climbing the corporate ladder, they are working a 9 to 5, they are going on holidays during their annual leave, they're buying houses, houses, you know, there's so much that you sacrifice when you become self-employed, and I don't think people say that enough. Yes, you do trade the 9 to 5 to work in 24/7, and it's glorified online, but it actually is really taxing on your mental health, on your physical health, on your friends, on your family, on your relationships. You make a lot of sacrifice being self-employed, and it's really lonely. I'm surrounded by, really fortunately, a lot of entrepreneurial self-employed people, but it still feels really lonely when you work for yourself and you work on your own. I don't have a team of people behind me, and no one understands my business like I do. So when I explain, you know, my stresses to people, my struggles with people, they don't always understand. So I would definitely say that is my least favourite thing. If you're a fruit, what fruit would you be? I'm gonna have to say a watermelon. If anybody knows me in my personal life, they will know that I'm obsessed with watermelon, and it's not for the taste. I'm not obsessed with the taste of watermelon. I'm obsessed with the aesthetic, and maybe it is the photographer and the visionary in me. Little graphics and animations of a watermelon, colours of a watermelon, just the texture of it, the size of it. I don't know what it is, but I love a watermelon. So I feel like I'd have to be a watermelon. Why do you do what you do? Which I think is a really good question, and kind of one that's going to give me a bit of an existential crisis, to be honest. Like I said before, it's a combination of enjoying it and being good at it. I think I have always been really creative. It's a quality of mine that I pushed away and ignored for a really, really, really long time. I never thought I was going to be in the creative industry. I never thought that I was going to earn money from being creative, to now run a business that is fully based off of my brain and my creativity and my ideas is such a full circle moment for me. Feeling of why do I do what I do? I almost feel like I'm making my younger self proud by doing this, and I'm proving to people who doubted me, who didn't believe in me, and I guess that is a lot of the fire in me, is to show people that I can do it and that I can do something really, really well. I really enjoy it. I really, really, really do enjoy it, and I say to people all the time, if I wake up one day and I don't want to do it, I'll go and do something else. I'll go and get a job. I'll go and run another business. I think I'm not afraid of change in that way. But I think for right now, why I'm doing photography is even like why I'm doing YouTube. I think this creative child in me has just been so trapped for so long. This business has brought the best out of me in not only my creativity and my ideas, but also in myself. It's given me confidence I never thought I was going to have, and it's given me power I didn't think I was going to have. I'm so independent, and I hold so much power over my time and who I surround myself with and who I work with. All of that mixed together really is why I wake up and love what I do every day. I have freedom that I never thought I'd have. I have a job which not only impacts my life but other people's in a really positive way, and I guess that's why I'm doing it, is whilst my dreams are coming true, I'm helping other people's come true at the same time, which is just really beautiful. And I feel like that's the note I want to end on. I'm gonna love you all and leave you. This will be chopped up so that it's nice and snappy for you all, but hopefully you enjoyed a lovely little chatty Q&A and that gave you a bit more insight into my business and what I do. I'll definitely film another one of these, so feel free to comment below any questions or anything, and I will maybe film one in a couple of months. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a gorgeous day, and stay tuned for the next video.